The fourth commandment. Honor thy father and thy mother. Okay, parents can change the world most effectively through their children. We get that? Let's read that again. Parents can change the world most effectively through their children. You want to change the world? Sick of it the way it is? Change it through your children. That's possible. As the parents, so the children. You're going to change yourself, you're going to change the children. Failures in parent-child relations lead to bigger problems. Stalin and Mao both had very dysfunctional relations with their fathers. Thus, the fourth commandment affects not only a parent-child relation, but the entire scope of the social structure. It always starts at home. Here are 8 out of 15 causes for gender identity deficit. Okay? Taken from the Catholic Medical Association. That's what same-sex attraction really is. It's called a gender identity deficit. That's not a Catholic term. It's a medical term. There's a deficit there. There's an identity problem. Okay. Now, this was taken from not just Catholic sources. This was taken from secular sources as well. Lots of them. Okay. Their research is impeccable. Number 1, this is the number 1 cause of a gender identity deficit. Alienation from father in early childhood because the father was perceived as hostile or distant, violent or alcoholic. Number 2, mother was overprotective of her boys. Number 3, mother was deeply or was needy and demanding of her boys. Number 4, mother emotionally unavailable to her girls. Number 5, parents failed to encourage same-sex identification. Number 6, lack of rough and tumble play with the boys. In other words, dad did not play with the boys. Let's go play some balls, boys, come on. Let's go fishing, let's go camping. Parental loss through death or divorce. 8, separation from parent during critical developmental stages. You can see that the rise in gender identity deficit in our time right now, where is its cause? Family. Parental-child relationships. The Church declares that the parents are the first educators of their children. This is the right and duty of the parents. It is primordial and inalienable. The role of parents in education is of such importance that it is almost impossible to provide an adequate substitute. You cannot be replaced. God has given you special graces in relation to your child to educate them, to help their education, to make sure they're educated. Parents should then check on their children's spiritual welfare and ask frequently what they learned at school if they're attending one. So if you're not homeschooling and you have to go to a school, not everybody's able to homeschool, then by golly, check on your children. What are they learning? Check it. Correct it. That's not right. This is the truth. Here it is. Let's work it out together. Let's go see Father. He'll help us explain it. Whatever it takes. The Catechism, the home is well suited for education in the virtues. This requires an apprenticeship in self-denial, sound judgment, and self-mastery. The preconditions of true freedom. Parents should teach their children to subordinate the material and instinctual dimensions to the interior and spiritual ones. Parents have a grave responsibility to give good example to their children. So as the parent, so the child. Your example is such of importance. All occasions of sin need to be removed. If there's anything obscene in your house, believe me, the kids will find it. The devil will help them. How parents dress, how they speak. Do they say bad words? Your kids will say more. If you say 1, they'll say 10. What music you listen to, what TV programs you watch, what movies you watch, these will all affect them. As the parents, so the children. Clean out your house. Get a garbage can. Clean it all out. Don't take any chances. Additional duties of parents. So parents should keep their children from keeping bad company. So dating, very dangerous game. I would say intimate dating, any personal dating is off limits until they're old enough, and then even then it should be discouraged. Oftentimes God will show you who is to be your partner through life as your married spouse without having to have all that. St. Alphonsus says that when you do discover someone who might be your spouse, you're allowed to date them something like a year, like a courtship. Very dangerous. Parents cannot force their children into a vocation like a religious, priesthood, or married, nor should they unjustly keep them from a vocation. So you can't force them or keep them. This is grave matter due to the effect on the church and the society. So in other words, if your child is meant to be a priest, you're like going, look, the priesthood's a mess. I don't want you to be a priest. Then you're preventing this child from becoming someone who could help thousands upon thousands of people. You affect the whole world. Flipped over too. I know, I've heard of this. I've seen it happen. Parents force their child, my child to be a priest. So he becomes a priest, and when he's ordained, this happened. This is for you, Mom. Now that I'm ordained, did it for you. He was laicized some years later after causing all kinds of scandal. You don't want that either, see? You must not force, no, you must not keep. Okay, parents should not allow their children above a couple of years old to sleep in the same bed with them. Aha! You probably never heard this before. Once again, parents should not allow their children above a couple of years old to sleep in the same bed with them or with each other. Each should have their own bed, says St. Alphonsus. We should not take any chances. The devil is very crafty, and children, they're very innocent, and it's best to have their own bed. Okay? Duties of children. Children must respect and obey their parents and even strive to see God in them. To disobey and express order about something serious, like going out at night, using the internet without permission, watching bad movies, keeping bad company, is grave matter. Mom said, stay away from that person. She means it. Disobey her, mortal sin. Children are obliged to speak the truth to parents under pain of sin. Similar to speaking to a priest in confession, they have a right to know. Ananias and Sapphira lied to the Holy Father, St. Peter. They lied to their dad, their father. They died because God wanted to show that's a mortal sin. When you see that death in the Bible like that, like Onan, chapter 38, I think it is, in Genesis, he died for what he did. That was a sign to us, mortal sin. Ananias and Sapphira died lying to the Holy Father. Boom, that's a mortal sin what they did. God's trying to show that physically. Parents should be honored and not called names or insulted. Reparation must be made by seeking pardon. And they should seek pardon in front of all those they made the insult. So if they insulted their parents in front of their whole family, they got to make pardon in front of the whole family. They should. Parents should be cared for in their old age. Son, support the old age of thy father and grieve him not in his life. That's something else that's lost today. My brother is an emergency room nurse in Idaho, and people drop their elderly off all the time, try to get rid of them. Right there in the emergency room. Respect for authority. Another problem today, Americans, we have very little respect for authority. We're almost raised that way. But we know from the Bible that Jesus went down with them, his mother and his father, Joseph, and was subject to them. So all superiors legitimately established have a participation in God's authority. We must treat them with respect and not incite anyone against the office itself. So popes, cardinals, this is the order. Pope, cardinals, bishops, priests, deacons, fathers, mothers. So he that despises you, despise me. We cannot despise any of those in that order. We can be saddened that some of them are dysfunctional and failing. We should still respect the office they hold. And if they come to us, we treat them with respect. Code of Canon Law 1373, that's the penal part of the code. A person who publicly incites among subjects animosities or hatreds against the apostolic see or any ordinary because of some act of power or ecclesiastical ministry, or provokes subjects to disobey them, is to be punished by an interdict or other just penalties. So, I mean, you look at the blogs today, there's all kinds of just vitriolic attacks on various popes and bishops and whatnot. And, in some sense, they deserve a little bit of it, but it's like, you're inciting hatred, you're inciting people to disobey, to break away, animosity. Whoo-hoo, you're under a serious situation. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes on Judgment Day. Always treat those in authority with respect. It's hard. I know, I feel it myself. Kings and princes must be respected as well. It says in the Bible, may all recall, according to the admonition of the apostle, there is no authority except from God. What authority there is has been appointed by God. Therefore, he who resists authority resists the ordinances of God. And those who resist bring on themselves condemnation. I'm not very fond of the American system, but you know what? This is where we are. I mean, I don't like our president either. And he is legitimately established, as far as we know. Therefore, we have to give him due honor. And respectfully disagree when we can and show him, you're wrong and this has got to be changed. Your honor. Oh, voting. Yes, this is a problem. Voting properly is a virtuous act that falls under legal justice. So in other words, it's a virtue to vote. It falls under legal justice. Now, bishops down in Texas wrote this very well, I thought. To vote for a candidate who supports the intrinsic evil of abortion or abortion rights when there is a morally acceptable alternative would be to cooperate in the evil and therefore morally impermissible. So if I knowingly and willingly vote for somebody who supports abortion and abortion rights when there's a morally accepted alternative, it would be a mortal sin. When voting in this dark time, we're not voting for the lesser of two evils. Many people think like that. That's not correct. For that would be to choose evil. Since we could avoid voting for all the evil candidates, we could write in Jesus if we want to. Instead, we're to vote to limit evil. We look at those that are running for office. Who is most likely to limit the evil of abortion first and foremost? And then you start going from there. How is he going to limit it? Is he for abortion? Unfortunately, yes, but he's going to limit it. So let's say we had this last election. It was Obama and Mitch, whatever. And so which one is going to limit it the most? I don't like either of them, but you know what? He's going to limit it a lot more than he is. Therefore, I need to start with him. And if I don't like what he has to offer, then I need to go to another candidate. But I cannot go back to that one. The hierarchy of goods must be taken into consideration. Religion and life are at the top of the list. I don't care if he's for the poor. I don't care if he's going to pour out the treasury for the poor. That doesn't matter if he's against life and he's against the Catholic Church. You've got to start at the top. Listen to Pope John Paul. The common outcry which is justly made on behalf of human rights, for example, the right to health, to home, to work, to family, to culture, is false and illusory if the right to life, the most basic and fundamental right, and the condition of all other personal rights, is not defended with maximum determination. In other words, it's a farce if they're saying they're for all these lower rights, but they won't give you the higher right. They don't believe in a hierarchy. We do, because that's the way God made the universe. We've got to start at the top of the hierarchy. Okay, to overcome the revolution we're in right now, we must always think hierarchically. If you can start thinking hierarchically, you're winning the battle. The world right now is trying to make us think horizontally. These are all equal. I just don't like that one or that one. No. This one's more important, therefore that one doesn't matter if this one's not fulfilled.